to look at somebody else's life, whether it's on social media or whether it's somebody that you work with or someone that you admire. We all compare. The real question is, do you let it coach you or does it crush you?
Everyone loves to share their successes on social media, and it's in our face every day, all the time.
All this stuff that you're supposed to do to be a good mom. And I just remember like many, many moments feeling so shitty about myself because I'm like, you're not doing enough. You're not a good enough mom.
And all of that comparison almost kept me from finding a career that I love.
Hi, and welcome to the Living Richly podcast. We're so glad that you've joined us again this week on what is going to be a phenomenal conversation on the comparison game and how to protect your peace against the deadly trap of comparing yourself to others. And one of the questions we're going to be asking today is, what if comparing yourself to others could actually be of benefit to you and not just a joy stealer? So, guys, so great to be back in studio together. It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
Right, where the four of us are together.
Yeah.
So glad to be here. Let me kick it off with the first question. I'm going to throw this your way, Kate. Why do we treat someone else's highlight reel?
Yeah,
that's a hard word. Highlight reel as proof that our behind the scenes game isn't enough?
Because we forget it's a highlight reel. Like, I think like at the end of the day, like I think of it this way. If I'm having a shitty day or I'm in like a bad headspace and I'm already not feeling great about myself, like maybe I didn't get to the laundry or I didn't get that thing in at work or something happened and I'm already got the negative self-talk running through my brain. If I go on social, let's say, and I'm in someone's highlight reel who's like folded their laundry and then their closet is beautiful and like they're getting that promotion at work, I'm comparing, and I ultimately am comparing their high to my low. So I think what happens is when you're in that state of like, I don't already feel good, when I see the highlight reel, it's even harder because you feel even, it just like echoes that inner dialogue.
Especially if they wash their whites and their darks separately. I don't sometimes because I don't have time for that.
Who has time for that, Wendy?
Yeah. But I love what you say, because that highlight reel, sometimes we see it as that's their report card. It's not their report card. It's just a glimpse into their show. And we often forget that, especially when we start going through that scrolling game, just bringing social media, since you had mentioned that was a good example.
Well, and social media, comparison has been around since the beginning of time, right? I mean, we've always been doing that. But in this day and age of social media, and we forget that it's still relatively young. Like, it's only been in the last 10, 15 years that there has been the opportunity to be tracking every single thing.
Rob said relatively young.
Relatively young.
Yeah, for your age.
Yes. Well, you're not that young as 3 seconds anyway. Back in my day, I had to get a carrier pigeon to let me know what the Joneses were doing.
The reality was, but that was the case, is there was so much that people did that we were never aware of.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't the opportunity. Today, of course, as you mentioned, everyone loves to share their successes on social media, and it's in our face every day, all the time. Our kids don't know how to handle it, but even we are not yet equipped to understand, to truly understand. We know logically that it's just the highlights, it's where's all their, we know that logically, but if we're not in a place where we're processing things logically, if we're emotional, tired, whatever, we immediately go to the emotion around it and we compare. Yeah, I mean, the reality is everybody compares themselves to others. I think it's pretty human to look at somebody else's life, whether it's on social media or whether it's somebody that you work with or someone that you admire. We all compare. The real question is, do you let it coach you or does it crush you? And for me, the challenge has often been that the comparison game plays into my not enough script, right? I'm just not enough, not good enough. I'm not successful enough. I haven't pushed. I haven't tried hard enough. And it just really, really feeds into that. And I find myself comparing my raw demo to other people's studio single, right? And it's just not a fair comparison. And I don't know, we're seeing a lot of this right now. We just hosted a webinar on how to use AI to help you with your marketing on the Rhapsody side with a bunch of business owners. And we were talking about how there is
so much fake stuff out there now. Take the highlight reels and the focus on social that we were talking about, that people just put their best foot forward, but it's not a true picture. There's not enough behind the scenes footage, because I think if you saw behind the scenes footage of the same person with the highlight reel, you'd have a much more realistic picture. And now AI is creating all this content. It used to be that you had to like be good at writing and whatever. Right. And now anybody and their dog, I mean, like Loki's posting now. He just types on my dog is.
Yeah, I love following
Loki's great.
Loki's my favorite.
He's far more interesting than I am.
He really is.
But my point is the content is robotic. It's not connected. And so more and more on when we think of the online world where we spend so much of our time, it's artificial, it's fake, it's not real. And I think people are actually longing for like real human connection.
100%.
And to go along with that, not only is the content, the writing not necessarily real, now the pictures aren't real. So now we're even comparing ourselves to, we see somebody on a cruise or doing something, and the photo could be AI generated, where they're actually sitting in their basement eating a bag of chips, right? And they're not doing
I saw one of you the other day. You look pretty buff.
Yeah, I was. And in that picture, I was sitting in my basement eating a bag of chips.
Chat GPT just edited the chips out and made you look like $1,000. Yeah. I'm curious. What are some stories or examples like where the comparison game really fucked you over?
When I was like younger, I'll go way back in my time, Rob, when Facebook first came out.
Good morning.
When I was a young mom. And Facebook was relatively new. Like, I still posted in the third person. Like, that's how bad.
Yeah.
I go back to old posts.
I know.
Like, wow. Okay.
I remember the 90s.
But I remember there's a lot of pressure when you're a new mom and just you want to get it all right. And it's hard enough going to moms groups and everyone's got like the latest stuff and the strollers. But then you start seeing it online, and then you start seeing videos of women making sandwiches with stars and like all this stuff that you're supposed to do to be a good mom. And I just remember like many, many moments feeling so shitty about myself, because I'm like, you're not doing enough. You're not a good enough mom. You don't have the $10,000 stroller, which nobody needs. No. You don't have all the gadgets and stuff. And that comparison game as a mom, it wasn't about, am I being a good, like, actual emotional support for my kid? It was like, do I have all the shit that my kid needs? And I think like that was really eye-opening for me, where all of a sudden it wasn't just at these moms groups in person. It had creeped into my day. Like, it was now in my social feed, and it was hitting me more often, not just an hour, on a Wednesday. Now it's like daily in my face.
Yeah.
Right.
I think for me, it was when I left the biggest gut punch for me was when I left my HR career, moved into the fitness and coaching space in a very saturated market, no experience, didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I was supposed to be doing something different. And all of that comparison almost kept me from finding a career that I love, because the inner chatter is sometimes so much easier to listen to than just putting one foot forward in front of the other and following your path.
The wisdom of Star Wars, right? Qui-Gon Jinn, who said, "There's always a bigger fish."
Thank you, Eric.
There's always a bigger fish, right? Like and so we often feel like we're falling short. For me, it was like long before I even had a fully formed brain, because I start leadership. I've been in leadership roles since the age of 17, pushed to the front of the room. I've said this before, long before I was ready. And back in those days, there was really, mentoring was not a thing. Leadership development was really not a thing. It was about how you appear at the front of the room, especially in the space that I came from. And the measurement of success was how many butts are in the seat on Sunday morning and how big's the offering, right? How big is your budget? And so I learned to compare myself very early on, like early 20s, to people that had been at this for, it wasn't really a fair comparison when I look back. Here I was just starting out, and I'm comparing myself to people that have been in leadership roles in that space for decades, and they have much larger churches and bigger budgets and more butts in the seat. And what am I feeling? I'm behind. Look at how I'm not successful. I'm a failure. And I still remember this particular trip. We didn't have much money back then, and a family helped me take my family to Florida, and we took them to Disney World. So they supported us to do that. And here we are sitting by the pool, and I was I felt so far behind. Now I've always been an avid reader.
Yes.
But here I am in Florida with my kids, and I remember the afternoon I'm sitting there reading this leadership book, but not reading it because I'm feeling like, oh, I've got a bit of time and I just want to learn. No, I felt behind. And here I am, instead of enjoying myself with my family, I'm literally measuring myself even on vacation and trying to catch up and make up that deficit. And that fucked up measuring stick followed me for years and years.
Yeah. So I'm going to be real vulnerable because it's interesting that this was something that hit me just recently again. And I didn't think it was an area that I struggle with anymore. I don't struggle with the comparison game when it comes to people I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. And I joke in our notes about how I, kind of debated whether I could show up for the episode, because for me, it came out of a conversation you and I had, and it was around talking about some of our achievements and things like that. And I remember when that first came my way, my first reaction was to compare. And right away, I went into this place of, I'm not like all of the, I don't show, I'm not worthy. It's all right. And I remember reaching out to Sherry and saying, I need to meet with you because I've got something here that I want to figure out and I want to carry this on my own. And I shared that story and I said, here's what I want to be clear. Eric's done nothing wrong. He's complete. Like this is, I'm so aware that what I'm doing right now is nothing on him. It's 100% on how why am I showing up like this? And she really did help me to start to go, okay, what's the deeper comparison thing that you're doing here? And I'll let's go deep on that because it was a gut punch. You are so phenomenal with, and you've done it many times about, us and how we show up and everything like that. And you're so celebrate what I do and everything like that. And that's what I said to Sherry. I said, this is so me. Why is this? I said, because it's no one else can this do with other than the people closest to me.
Yeah.
I can celebrate their success, but then I also compare myself to the ones that are close. They're the only ones that it impacts are the people that really matter to me. And so, this one I was like, oh, I don't want to talk about this today. I don't want to go into this because I'm still meeting with Sherry to work through why am I feeling inadequate and not just owning how I show up, and why am I comparing myself to the guy that I have the most respect for?
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Wow. So, and that's a journey.
Yeah.
Like that's
100%.
Yeah. And that's discovery and learning. And that's like a big one. And sometimes I love that you share that because I think sometimes it's like it's easy to just point blame versus actually taking accountability and having the self-awareness to be like, no, this is mine.
100%.
Yeah.
It's 100% me. And so, and that's why I think this is such a powerful topic because we can be in a place where we're living richly. We're living our best life where everything around, like my life is so incredibly amazing. Wendy and I are just everything that we're experiencing in life together. And yet that script or those stories can just creep in when we're not paying attention. Oh, we still this is a journey.
Another layer.
We still have work to do.
Another layer.
Parfait has layers.
Oh, here we go.
Going to Star Wars, I had to quote Trek. No, I love that you shared that, and love the vulnerability behind that. And I know we had some big conversations around that. I think we're going to talk more about how it shows up in our close relationship, the comparison trap, because I think it really does. And I know for me, the closer to home it gets, the greater the impact, right? Like totally. To your point, a complete stranger, for me, it shows up like in my professional space where I do compare myself often to people that I don't know, is that they're in my space, right? They're in the coaching space, they're in the leadership development space, they're in the business coaching space. And so I'm reaching out to learn and observe what others are doing, but sometimes then find myself, I'm not a great coach and look at right? And then in my personal relationships. But one of the angles that we want to explore today is that comparison is often framed, we've been talking about the negative side, the dark side of it, but there is actually, there is like Sith and Jedi here. There is light side, dark side.
You're like using every reference today. You're like,
I feel like I haven't been behind the mic in a long time, and I'm going to use every fucking analogy I can in this one show. Every Star Wars analogy.
We've got
this is the way.
There we go.
I just did it again. All right. Anyway, comparison is not always bad. It can fuel growth. It can really help us go to the next level. So I'm curious, when has comparing yourself to others helped you in that way?
Yeah, it fuels, for me, it's like it can fuel healthy competition. It can be a motivator sometimes. Like, it's not always a bad thing. When you see someone else succeed who maybe's like not been successful, that can motivate you, right? So I'm going to use Mike the Situation from Jersey Shore because that's my favorite to go to. But if Mike the Situation can friggin' do what he's done and is now helping people in recovery and has a wonderful life and seeing where he came from, to me, that's just an example that motivates me. And maybe that's less of a comparison game, but it is like, you're like, okay, but if that person who's doing really great came from here, there's something about that for me that like sparks something in me to be like, oh, okay, I got this. I can do, like, it fuels me a little bit.
Yeah.
I think 100%. For me, it's in the gym is a place, and you're right. It's funny that we dismiss that as comparison, even though it still is comparison, or we play it down versus the negative, because it's inspiring when we compare ourselves to the situations others are going through. It's inspiring. I know we do this with David Goggins. Well, neither one of us is David Goggins, nor has his mindset or anything like that. The guy's a freak.
I wouldn't
He's just
be David
right. Yeah, no, it's an intense. But we laugh because there's a meme that goes around of him running and he's being interviewed by somebody, and he screams back into the mic, "I'm back, motherfucker!" Right? That's what he's doing after he says he's back from an injury and he's running. And we do it all the time when we're out. We go for a run together.
Give it to us one more time.
Yeah. "I'm back, motherfucker!" Yeah, and
that was worthy of a repeat.
100%. But I know even in the gym, like I will in an Orange Theory class, will compare myself to the other guys. Now, we have leaderboards where you actually see that. And I remember just recently we got a new staff member, young punk, 25-year-old know-it-all,
because he's younger, he's a punk?
Exactly. Yeah, of course. Young punk know-it-all. And we're doing the competition, and I'm like, here's what I'm going to do on the rower. You're going to do and I beat him by like almost 300 meters or 400 meters in this time thing.
Good job, old man.
But there was that sense of that fucking A, exactly. And I still let him know. I still remind him 2 weeks later.
Well, you've earned the right to ribbon now.
Of course. But I think there is that it motivates and inspires.
Yeah.
Same way as, and I'll use this, and I know that I'm talking a lot here, so but I mentioned before the second ago about the negative of the comparison.
Yeah.
The same as the positive. There's no one in my profession and world who inspires me more than you. And when I'm sometimes sitting back and going, I don't know if I can do this, it's, you know what? I see Eric, he can do this or he's done that, and it fires me up to do it as well. So it's a healthy comparison, even when it's not healthy.
Yeah.
Love that. What about you?
Just listening to what you're saying, like, you guys have your business relationship, but the amount of times that he says just like what a brother you are to him is just, I just wanted to put that
between us. Don't fucking those days.
Sorry.
No. Okay, bros, whatever. No, all I'll just add is I think you can, if you let that spark fuel you instead of pull you back from a comparison perspective, it can be very painful.
Well said.
For me, it really inspires me or coaches me. Like comparison really it fuels me up when it points to a rep I can control. And by that, I mean something I can actually do that's it's grounded, it's based on my values, and it's not some kind of methodless enthusiasm to just cover up my anxiety and my need to like hold everything together, if that makes sense, right? Recently, I developed a couple of things that I'm using to check in with myself, because I've been getting really present, been doing a lot of reflecting around this whole control piece. And by control here, I don't mean like controlling others. It's more like that tight grip on our lives as a way to manage the fear and manage the anxiety that we often feel. And I'm using this little thing called what's true, what's good, what's next. What's true, what's good, what's next. And so when I find the comparison game beginning to point me in the wrong direction, I can say, what's true here? An example would be, I'm doing meaningful work with my clients that's leading to great impact. That's what's true. What's good? Actually, one of my clients applied some of the principles from one of our conversations, and the very next week landed nearly $25,000 of new work. Huge. Right? What's next? I'm going to record that in my impact journal, and I might post about it on social media as a way of just highlighting the win, and then move on. So it's a way for me to reset. But an even better one, I posted about it this week, the FIT model, right? Yeah. It's am I fit right now? And FIT is, what am I feeling? Am I feeling fear? Or am I feeling freedom right now? If I'm feeling fear, I'm probably being motivated by the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. The I is, what's my internal state? How does this feel in my body? Do I feel energized? Do I feel tight, rigid, and right? Like just that tightness in the body is a good signal for me. And the T is, what's the trajectory? Where is this leading me? Is it leading me again to something that feels energizing? Or does it feel like, again, something that is taking from me? And even after I do the activity, even after I do the thing, I still feel all the wrong feels, right?
What I love about all of that, the power of reflection in those moments, right? And we talk about it so often, and in the comparison game, it's such a healthy place. I'd screen grab something that our colleague Steve had posted on social. He's a big fan of the Sedona method. And even that fits into this, because it's just reflection, right? It's, what am I feeling right now? I captured it here, but could I let this go? Would I let this go? And when will I let this go? Is the Sedona method, right? It's this idea of, again,
say that again.
Could I let this go? Would I let this go? And when will I let this go?
I haven't heard that in some time. I need to revisit that. I love that.
Well, that's why I screen grabbed it, because I thought I got to study that. But I love, you're the king of acronyms. and you 100%, everyone knows that. It's right there on your, it's the king. Well, boom. I did. You're welcome. Yeah. No, I love I would encourage what I took from what you said, I think it's brilliant to use an acronym like FIT. It's such an easy way to remember it. It's the reflection. Before you react, take a moment to reflect on what's going on here, what's happening, so that you can now process it, right?
If nothing else, getting present to what's the energy.
Yeah.
Like, what is the energy? Is it confident, purposeful, grounded? This is me living my best life. This is me exercising my gifts deliberately. Is it that energy? Or is it, I'm behind, I'm not good enough, I got to catch up, I'm frantic, and I'm just trying to get control and get on top of shit? Just getting present to that energy, I think, is massively
important. Just like pausing and just being aware that you feel any kind of way about it. For a lot of people, is the start. I think a lot of people don't even know it's not conscious. I think when they see it, they're like, you either like, you're going to shit all over. Wow, they have this, they can do it this way, blah, and you cut, and they're not even aware of it. I think sometimes just like maybe get present and pause to that, like that you're even having a reaction to something, and then even you can call it comparison. They might be even one step behind that.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, again, the angle we're exploring is what are the positive benefits? But I'm curious, when does it crush your peace? When does comparing yourself to others crush your peace the most? Where does it show up the most for you?
Wendy and I are having a telepathic.
I saw that. I could almost see the thoughts being exchanged across the table.
We haven't been together in a while.
I know.
100% for me, it's when I haven't carved time out for me. When I'm not putting myself first, when I'm pouring more into everybody else, pouring more into my studios, pouring more into my work, not taking the time to get enough sleep, not eating well, and then it just becomes a cycle. So that always leads into self-destruction for me.
Yeah. I don't know that I would have labeled it that way, but it's interesting because I think it's when I'm low. So it's just when, and maybe it's a result of all those things you just said, Wendy, but it is for me when I'm in a negative headspace. So if I'm already in that, and I talked about this at the beginning, but if I'm already in that headspace and that voice has already got its story going and its script going, if I see anything out there in the world that reinforces that message, then for me, it's just, that's when comparison is like, it's not good.
Yeah.
That is not a positive. That is not a motivator. That is another voice in my head telling me I'm shitty, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think very similar. It's as what both of you have said. It's my energy is low when I'm not focused on myself. The thought that came to mind is it's when I'm anxious. Right. And you go back to the 242 model of anxiety, and we won't take time to go through the whole thing, but when we're anxious, we act stupid.
Yeah.
And so when I'm anxious, I compare and then have stupid reactive thoughts or ideas based on that.
And that the model there isn't that you're unintelligent, is that it's just the greater the anxiety that you're feeling. And what you guys described are all things that lead to greater anxiety. When we stop taking care of ourselves, we stop putting ourselves first. We're not filling the tank, so we're vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
We're vulnerable, and so anxiety can get the better of us. And in those moments, the values that we hold dear, the principles that usually guide us, the logical thinking that can help us reset. It's like when we say you get stupid, it's like you can't access it, or you struggle to access the stuff that normally you can access quite readily, right? A better reframe of the question, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, was because I asked the question, when has it crushed your peace? It's more, when have you allowed it to crush your peace? Because actually nothing, what was it, Sherry that told us a while back, right? And I remember challenging her when she first said it, is that you have never had an emotion that you did not create. And I remember going, fuck you, that's not true. And then as we explore, I'm like,
oh, it's true.
Right. No one can actually make me feel anything. It's what I choose to feel. And for me, where it showed up in the last year significantly, we've talked about it. It was a big time of growth in the business, and we were getting some coaching from an outside organization, and I really applied myself big time to take our marketing for Rhapsody to the next level and kind of reposition ourselves in the marketplace, right, in a fresh new way, and certainly made tremendous progress there. But in that space, feeling very behind, feeling very insecure, surrounded by people that were way better. And again, I started
perceived,
because I'll get to that later in the story on another question, but perceived to be way down the road and far more successful. And I was telling myself all the bullshit stories, right? Well, the business needs me right now. And so I wasn't working out as much. I was neglecting my mornings. For me, I was, because it was marketing that I was learning, I actually hadn't been on social all that much before then. I was on it, but nowhere near now like I was on it now. And now I'm checking every post to see if it's how many likes it's getting. And right, I'm seeing how it's performing. Oh, it's not performing as well. Here I am, like sometimes 5:30 in the morning, and I'm checking stats like a mofo. Like, what the fuck am I doing at 5:30 in the morning comparing but that's where I ended up, right? And so I had to do a serious reset. I actually did an exercise, a series of reflected exercises on resetting my relationship with social about 2 months ago, and it's been a game changer. And actually, I'm happy to share in the show notes some of the questions that one might use to start to reset. If you're finding yourself there, it's not hard to find yourself there. I never thought I would find myself there, but I was like, I remember you telling me, like, you're on your phone all the time. Yeah. So thankfully that's not the case anymore.
No. And I give you kudos for like hearing that like feedback, and that message is like, because it's not easy to say to someone you're close to, like, hey, like, can you put your phone down for a minute? I want to have a conversation. And you always were super respectful if I said anything. But I think what was so great for you is you were like, I have an unhealthy relationship with it. And your shift has been because you don't want to be up at 5:30 on your phone. No. It's not serving you.
No, I'm up at 5:30, but I want to be doing more productive things than being on my phone and doom scrolling. Right? Yeah. Guys, what is the line? Like, we believe, I think what's been stated here is that there's a dark side to comparing yourself to others. It can also be a tremendous motivator for growth and advancement and evolution. So it's got a light side.
Yeah.
It's got a good side. But how do you tell the difference? What's the line between inspiration and self-destruction?
Well, I know for me, I'll quote the good old book that we used to study all the time.
An old Jewish book.
There's an old Jewish book that talks about words of life and words of death. And
Book of Proverbs.
Yes, exactly. And I've always that has always been something that I pay attention to, and I in conversations, in what I receive from people are these words of life? Is this life giving, or is this death giving, serving death? And so for me, even when it comes to comparison, when I'm comparing, am I feeling life out of that, or am I feeling death? And am I feeling death, I move away from it as quickly as I can, or I begin to work through why. If I'm feeling life, I can lean into it. And so, I people talk all the time about doom scrolling. One of the things I've done even on Instagram is almost most of that stuff gone. My Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it today, deleted it from my phone, because I couldn't scroll it without everything was death.
Yeah.
Now I've got so much more just life, and I can sit there and laugh and pain in the ass to the kids and everything like that, because I'm always now I learned how to copy and link to a text message and Instagram Instagram reel, because Wendy in the air showed me one day. So now I'm always, but it's all fun.
Dude, it's why I blocked you on all my devices.
You blocked me.
But that'll preach.
Silenced you.
That'll preach, brother.
Yeah.
I love that.
Silenced you.
I didn't block you.
No,
I just muted you.
Like, it's like you're giving people the illusion that you're still following them. You're like, no, I don't want to see your shit in my feed. Yeah.
I think inspiration, like the right inspiration, can absolutely inspire growth, but the obsession can fuel that shame. And really important that you start to work on yourself, where you learn and you understand the difference.
Yeah.
And I think, to add to what Wendy said, is when you're in inspiration and it turns to not being healthy, you often don't see it. So what can start as a motivator and comparison, I don't know, let's just say to get healthy, and you're comparing and it's great, but then it becomes like obsessive and dark and can lead to unhealthy relationships with food. Like, it can turn very quickly. And I think often when we're in it, we don't always see it. And that's where you need community, and that's where you need people around you to be able to hold you accountable.
Yeah, love that. For me, crossing the line looks like I go from evaluating my work and what I could learn and do better to judging my worth. Am I good enough?
Yeah.
Who am I? Right? Because again, from a work perspective, what I'm trying to do more and more now is, if I see someone in my feed who's in our space, like in the coaching space, and I like what they're doing, well, again, instead of going down the rabbit trail of I'm behind, I'm not good enough, I'm not successful enough. I mean, again, reality would tell me the difference, right? Like, we have a very successful coaching business, and we have great impact with the leaders that we serve, and we get that feedback all the time, but in those moments. So what I'm trying to do now is, rather than start doom scrolling and shaming myself, is to say, what can I learn from this? What's the one lesson, right? So learn the lesson, ship it, and then put the phone down. All right. So use it to coach me. If it's that's the right moment. Sometimes it's not the right moment. I don't want to be coached at 8 p.m. at night. I want to relax. My day is winding down. But again, if I'm judging my worth instead of evaluating my work, that's definitely the line for me. Curious, who's someone you used to compare yourself to, and what did you later learn about their behind the scenes?
So many people. Like, so many. When I read that question, I was like, there's lots of people along the way. I think for me, one story that stood out, because it was like the first time I think I really understood, like, there's smoke and mirrors, and what you think is real isn't. And I was young in my career, and I was at the gym all the time. There was a gym in the office, and this woman used to always come in the gym. We came, gym buddies, we go for runs, all that stuff. So we talk about her life, obviously talk about work, and I just thought she had the most perfect life. Like, she's stunning, she's beautiful, she's healthy, she's got great kids, she's got this great marriage, everyone loves her at work, and I'm like, okay, this is someone I admire. And then like, sure enough, the more you spend more time with someone, and then one day she just came in and she's like, yeah, my husband just like, he left me for this younger woman and I don't like, and so her whole world just had completely crumbled. And I said, I never would have known anything was wrong in your marriage. And she's like, yeah, well, it's not the thing, like no one talks about it. And I remember just like, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, probably because I was young, but I just had this illusion and almost she was up on this pedestal that wasn't real, right? It was my version of, and then when it all came crashing down, it's like, not in a mean way, but part of me was like, oh, thank God, because I can't live up to that. Like part of me, I didn't want her to have any pain, but there was part of me that was sort of like, okay, maybe this isn't real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I know for me, there was somebody in my world that, again, it was some incredibly appeared to be an incredibly smart individual, used all the right words, knew how to say things, knew how to and connect to people, knew how to interact. And I remember there are oftentimes I'd be like, fuck, if I could, I just wish I was half as smart as they are. Or I wish I could just talk the way they did, or the way they connect to people is so powerful. Until I got behind the curtain. and I suddenly saw that the wizard was not exactly as they appeared. And even in interacting with people that had those relationships with this individual, would see all of a sudden, oh, there's no substance to this. And it was a big eye opener as I started to see it. And then it got to a point where it's just like expected, but it was a big, suddenly you realize, oh, people can have a great external image. You get behind the curtain and it changes a lot.
It's a different reality. Yeah. For me, it's that coaching organization, the most recent one that we were connected with. And again, I would say our business benefited tremendously for the time that we were connected. We learned so much, and even Rhapsody is a much stronger business now than it was even a year ago. But I remember, and I've already said it, so I'll keep this short, but I felt behind in the comparing myself and the imposter syndrome and all of this, until I came to see that some of what I perceived to be their wins came with trade-offs I would never choose.
Yeah.
And I think it helped me understand that when I'm comparing myself to someone else, or when any one of us is doing that, if you wouldn't trade their whole life for yours, right? Like ask yourself, would I trade my whole life for what they have? Again, what I realized is there was a lot of what was part of that world and that space that wasn't in alignment with our values, wasn't aligned with who I am, that promised a lot, delivered very little, and we're the opposite of that. We're so fanatical about delivering dense value for our clients. But it was a great experience. I'm still glad we went through it. But I think it's that. It's just getting crystal clear on. Again, the whole notion of the behind the scene footage is there. You may not be seeing it, but don't take that face value image as truth, right? Let's keep going here. I'm curious about we often do this thing where we always compare up. Right? Someone more successful, someone further down the road, but never or rarely sideways. Why do we never compare ourselves to the people who'd love to have what we already have?
For the same reason why we struggle with gratitude. Everyone knows that gratitude is a practice that will help you live a more full life. Everyone says it, but people don't practice. It's why we need things like Get to Mindset.
We're coming up on a year.
A year daily
gratitude in our shared journal that we keep. And there's short entries in every day, whether we do daily or we do it every few days and catch up and reflect.
Right. And congrats. I love that. Because, and very few do that.
Agreed.
And so as a result, they say, oh, I know. I gratitude. Obviously, right?
Yeah.
That's
thank you.
Yeah. And yet they don't. and yet they don't truly take the time to be gratitude. In the same way, we know that there are those who are not as fortunate as us, but we dismiss it and we choose not to do it because we're just quick to go, yeah, we know it. Yeah, thank you, right? But we don't actually take the time to recognize and go, oh, wait a minute here.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate. We just had this conversation not that long ago. We were planning one of our trips or doing something. And as we got talking, we even said, like, we are so grateful that we are in a place and a time that there are a lot of people who would not be able to do the things that we get to do.
Yeah, and it's huge. I think the getting present thing, like the gratitude part, is we rarely pause and truly appreciate what we have around us. And when you do that, I think what happens in the comparison up game, we could say all day, is society has taught us we need more. It's, it's never enough. You need the better house. You need all the stuff. But when you truly pause, like when you just did, and get grateful to what you have, it's also a reminder that someone else is looking at your life wanting what you have. Yeah. And when you can do that, it kind of can stop you from that up comparison game. Like, you don't have the big house, and it's often around stuff. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Like, gratitude truly does live in the sideways view.
Yeah.
And I think we're so conditioned to compare up because our brains are so wired to look at what we don't have instead of what we do have.
100%.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I reflected a lot on this question, and I think, again, getting to the point of, you said it, we often are following, again, we talk about this theme on the show all the time, where we're following the blueprint that somehow has been handed down to us by family, society. It's the shoulds and musts and have-tos, right? That we chase checking those boxes that we learned in life, like we ought to be checking these boxes, only to check them and go, is that it? I'm supposed to be happy now, and we're not, right? And I got present the other day. I'm like, as I was reflecting on this show, and particularly this question, who would like what I have now? Fuck, my 18-year-old self would.
Yeah.
I think my 18-year-old self would be amazed to say, wow, good job. Right?
Yeah.
Look at the life you built. I've got clients that sometimes I compare their level of material success and financial success and size of business. It's easy to do that when we work with one of my clients, they're like $1 billion company, and it's easy to compare. That actually I don't compare. It's so out of sync with who I am. It doesn't, but sometimes, but I'm like, I know a lot of them who look to me and say, but look at the level of freedom you have. You want to take, Friday afternoon or Friday off, you can. Like, I see you out. We were just talking about it at a recent Foundry dinner, and one of the leaders was like, I see you out on your kayak, or I see you out doing shit. And he's like, I'm like, I can't stop. I feel like if I stop, it's all going to fall apart. And I said, dude, that's part of the work. That's part of the work, right? Or folks that have said, I would love to have the kind of impact you guys are having with the podcast and the work that you do. So I think those aren't brags. It's more about just getting present to, it's okay. I might look at somebody and what they have, and I could say, well, I'm falling short, or I could say, well, do I even want that?
Yeah.
And what do I have currently that I'm celebrating? And I think that's what gratitude really anchors you into, right?
Yeah, it anchors you into everything that you have. It's so easy to take for granted what you have.
Yeah.
And when you practice gratitude, to be like, oh yeah, my life is great. That's not practicing gratitude. No. It is like, it's anchoring. I always say this, but it's head and heart. You have to really be like, wow, like to your point, like I'm living on values, like I can take Friday off, whatever that looks like for you, but you have to feel it. If you don't feel it, you're just saying words that don't mean anything. And to truly practice gratitude, it's hard for a lot of people because they don't want to feel it, or it's hard for them to feel it.
Yeah, 100%. We said we'd circle back to this question. We touched on it earlier, and you kind of cracked that open when you got really vulnerable at the beginning of the show about not even wanting to show up for this episode because of what you're currently working through. But how does comparison creep into our closest relationships? Siblings, spouses, friends, that kind of thing.
Well... I will be very vulnerable here. I think comparison sneaks in everywhere. For me, especially over the last year, and it can certainly take you down a path or paths that can really rob you of the joy. Speaking of rob, I will use my example of comparing myself on how to run 3 brick and mortar businesses, and I compare myself to Rob, who's not in the business like I am, but he's my partner, he's my sounding board, and I feel like he always knows the answers. He always is just very calm and collected, and just his business acumen is just so up there. And I'll say to him as well, I'm like, fuck me. Like, why don't I know this? Like, why can't I understand financials like you do? Like, why can't I? And, he'll say, but Wendy, like, you're comparing yourself to, I've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
But I feel that creeping in, and then I feel myself getting frustrated, and I don't take it out on him. At least I don't think I do.
or not admitted to it on this show. There's been enough vulnerability today.
Doing an episode on things I wish that.
But I use that as an example because it starts to, and I have to catch myself, it starts to take away the joy of what I'm doing, because I feel like I should know so much more than I do, and I don't celebrate where I am and how far I've come. So I'm grateful that he reminds me of that, but I still hate that you know more than me.
But so that's I can so relate to that frustration where someone triggers that in you, right, for whatever reason. Yeah. And a phrase that I've been using more and more to remind myself is different race, different lane, different race.
That's a great one.
It's not fair to compare myself to someone who's been doing this far longer. Yeah. I'm exactly where I need to be. And the things that are frustrating me, okay, well, maybe that's something I need to lean into. Maybe that's something I can learn, right? But I wish that happened more of the time. I'm still most of the time that needs to be different.
And if I can go to, because I'm going to contradict myself now in saying that, where as I said earlier, where I struggle with comparison the most is with those closest to me. It's also where I don't struggle with it, because I also know the rest of the story.
Right.
And so, for example, like if I might, and this is why I go back to, when does it happen? It's when I'm anxious, when I'm tired, when all these things are happening. Because in the regular day-to-day, I'm not sitting there comparing myself to you, because I know the work that you are putting in. I know the energy and the effort. I also know the struggles, because you're very vulnerable and open, and we have great conversations. I know what you wrestle with, your insecurities. And so those closest to me.
I don't have insecurities.
No, sorry. What you used to have.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Did you just throw me under the bus?
Right under. Yeah. Yeah, the many, many, many insecurities.
I feel like I've got tired treads.
But I think that, so for those closest to me, I think when I struggle with the comparison, it's because I don't want to disappoint. And so now I want to show up, and I want to be, so look, I'm bringing, talk about value and all of that stuff. But also with the people closest to me, I know what they're wrestling with and the struggles that they're going through. So it's a mix, and that's why it comes back to where I own it so much that it's on me, because it's all in what I'm going through in that moment is how I respond.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I don't have much to add. I think truly for me, though, when in the close relationships, if I start getting into comparison, it's my work. It's what you said, Rob. Yeah. Like there's something, it's bringing something up in me, and like, why is that bothering me? Like asking the question, like, what is it about this for me? Because it's not about what the other person's doing. It's something in me where I have an insecurity, or I didn't get to something, and that for me, it's doing the work to kind of, again, peel back the layers of that infamous onion we keep peeling back.
Yeah. For me, a comparison creeps into my close relationships when I forget we're on the same team. A great example actually was when the both of you joined the podcast. We were probably episodes 25, around that, right? Around the 30s or high 20s when you guys joined the show. And it was so exciting. You guys brought such a great energy and a great perspective. And I remember as we were posting our short form content or social media stuff, many times your stuff performing way better than mine. And I think I remember saying to you, boy, that's it. I'm just going to stop posting. What's the point? And I get a little sulky little kid in my corner sucking my thumb and being, but it was funny. And then I'm like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. Like we're on the same team. We're all moving the ball down the field here. And then something that literally just this conversation just surfaced it. I didn't come prepared to say this, but I look back on, so divorced twice, married twice, divorced twice. In my closest relationships, I don't know if I did this deliberately or if it was subconscious, I partnered up with people who needed to be rescued, people who needed to be helped. And I think in some weird, twisted way, that made me feel better about me. It made me like, I feel like I've got and this is going to sound wrong, I feel like I've got the upper hand here, but not in
totally
100%.
right, like I feel like I'm the one that's got it more together, and I'm helping guide, and now I'm finally in a relationship with someone who
I don't need you at all.
Wow. Boys.
Well, you set me up.
There's a dagger in my back. Could you just pull that out? Thank you. I think that one's yours.
You set me up. You did.
I did set you up. Okay, coming down the home stretch, let's shift to strategies here. Because what are some guardrails that you use? So I'm skipping ahead a bit here, guys. What are some guardrails that you use to protect your peace when it comes to the comparison game? Some great strategies that we can share with the nation.
Yeah. So I guess it could tie into comparison. It could tie into protecting my peace, protecting my boundaries, but I don't wear my watch on Sundays. I use Do Not Disturb very strategically.
On your phone, yeah.
Yeah, on my phone. The other weekend, I turned my phone off very early Saturday morning and didn't turn it back on until Sunday night.
Amazing.
And put it in my drawer, and I just, and that's like a forced habit or forced routine that I'm trying to encompass, because I just feel like it robs me of things that I don't need to be robbed from.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's like for me, triaging social. So unfollowing, like not where you've gone, Rob, but like unfollowing stuff that doesn't serve me. Yeah. So anytime I watch it, I'm not feeling good. Or it's just, I'm like, no, like this is not fueling me. It's actually draining me. So why am I watching this? It's not serving me. Yeah. I think that for me has been like a really big one, because what you consume, right?
You are what you eat.
Exactly. So I think that's an easy one for people. And they like, you have permission to go. It's your social. Like you can unfollow people. Don't be afraid of like unfollowing someone because you're going to hurt their feelings. It's your boundary. It's your social feed. You get to curate it however you want.
9 times out of 10, they don't even know that.
100%. They don't.
You're so not on their radar that they don't even realize it until down the road. They go, oh, I guess they've unfollowed me or something, right? Like so I think that's an easy one. Controlling the devices. You've talked about it on some socials about an app that you're still using. Yeah. And I think that there's some things that you can do to control that. I'll go back to the reflection. We talked about this a few minutes ago. The more, here's what I know. The more I am engaging in a reflection practice, the less I struggle with things like comparison or any of this other stuff, because I'm able to take the time to proactively think through something rather than react in the moment.
Yeah, I love that. I love taking control again, not just of your phone, but of your thinking,
your mind,
and that is so crucial. For me, the Freedom app has been. I've talked about it before, but on July 21st this year, as part of resetting my relationship with social media, I enabled a feature on it that once it kicks in. And I have it set right now and have for months now, that at 9 p.m. every night until 8 a.m. the next morning, all my social apps are inaccessible. My email is inaccessible. My Slack notifications are I can't even check them. And this is true on all my devices because it syncs on my phone, on my computer, on my laptop. Like all of it is synced. And I can't. And so once it kicks in, there's no turning it off. Once a week, I can override it if I'm up early and I've got some client stuff that I need to do and prep for something. And so I use that moment very strategically because I can only do that every 7 days. And I'll tell you, I got my life back. No more scrolling my phone late at night until I fall asleep. No more early morning doom scrolling. So now I'm back to getting up early. I'm exercising more. I'm back to my reflection in the morning, my reading, my gratitude practice. And when I say I got my life back, I got my life back. I highly recommend it. We'll put links to it in the show notes. There's other apps like that.
It's about setting the boundaries, setting your own boundaries. And we're so afraid to do that sometimes. Like, I'm sure some people are listening to you say that, and the anxiety around,
100%.
like, I can't look at it.
Yeah.
Right? Like the panic of the idea. Well, is there an override? Is there a password I can enter to override it? Right? Like, because, and that's probably an indication that you need to do it.
Well, so I had it where I could just override it all the time. And guess what I was doing? Overriding it every single time it kicked in, right? Because I could. It was too easy. I'll say this one more thing, and then we're going to go to a lightning round, sort of your final words. But I want to get this in on the show. One of the other very significant parts of resetting my relationship with social media and ending the comparison trap for me was creating an impact ledger. It's part of my journal. Some call it an accomplishment list. And this is how I describe it, right, in the impact ledger. So just bear with me. I'm just going to read a very short piece. This is about real people and real outcomes. This isn't a scoreboard. It's a record of lived impact, moments where the work that I do actually moved a person, a team, or a business forward. I capture these so I stay anchored in reality when the social media algorithm tries to tell me a smaller story. I'm collecting evidence of change, not applause. I use this file to stay grounded, make better choices, and remember why my work matters, especially in low metric moments. The entries collected are for calibration and gratitude, not validation. My worth isn't on trial. My impact is under observation. Progress over popularity, substance over noise. And I'll tell you, I started collecting. So now when someone texts me about something I said or did that impacted them, I just grab a screenshot, throw it in the impact ledger. When someone sends me an email, I do the same. And in those moments where I'm feeling behind, all I have to do is open up that file and go, I'm not fucking behind. Right? Like, again, challenging the stories that we tell ourselves. Okay, guys, before we wrap up, this has been an amazing conversation. Lightning round. Final words you want to leave with the nation.
Hey, the pressure. Embrace the reflection. And if you've gotten out of that habit or you've never started it, get back to and focus in on taking time to reflect. Whether it's a ledger like you just shared, what is that? It's a reflection. And having that opportunity to think through what's going on in the moment is probably going to do more for you than anything else to get out of the comparison game.
Love that.
I would say there's absolutely zero comparison between the sun and the moon because they both shine when it's their time.
Yeah, they shine differently too.
And they shine differently.
Yeah, love that.
I think I just say you're human and you're going to compare yourself, but you get to choose how you react to that comparison.
I love that.
Folks, here's the truth. Comparison will always show up. You can either let it crush you or you can let it fuel you. We hope that today's conversation is going to help you do more of the latter. Before we sign off today, if you found value in this episode, please share it out. There's other people that could benefit from the message. And make sure to do two things. One, visit our website at livingrichley.me, where you can find all the show notes and episodes that we've done in the past, including this one. And you can also find information about our Facebook group, where we have close to 1,000 members at this stage, all people on a journey similar to yours who are trying to live their best life. And if you are a business owner or entrepreneur watching this show, make sure to visit rhapsodystrategies.com. That's our coaching website where you can find out how to scale your business and take it to the next level without losing your soul. So make sure to check out both those websites. And until next time, get out there and live your best life.